solid form all weekend, they can, look to pick up and actually pick up a point here. And it's a matter of just making sure the early game doesn't get out of control and executing like we've started seeing them do.
And it's one of those best of two situations where a 1-1, maybe that will be the most apt result if World Elite really bounced back and showed some of the form they showed yesterday against Invictus Gaming, but it would do absolutely nothing for both teams. It would catapult World Elite 1 point clear of EP at the bottom, not really a big result, nothing to brag about. It wouldn't allow Vici Gaming to jump 2 spots from 7th to 4th, which they can do with a second victory. I expect Vici really to try and focus this game, pick up that second victory, and I feel like the AD carry matchup, we harped on it a little bit in the previous match, it'll really give us a window, this champion select, on whether Vici can pick up a big 2-0 for them.
Yes, so we're almost through the draft now. World Elite versus Vici. World Elite over on the blue side now. Vici swapping over to the red. Vega, Lissandra, and Morgana, the 3 bans there for World Elite, and Nidalee Cassidy with 1 to go for Vici.
Awkward that they have to ban Vega on the blue side. Clearly, UJ hasn't been practicing that champion, or they have a really specific strategy. I'm going to come back to the former. I think it's just that UJ not familiar with the support Vega, and given its popularity, you know that Mart has already shown great performance on it. Awkward ban on the blue side.
Yeah, I like the Corki ban though for Vici on the red side instead though. So going to take that away from STYZ. It's been his best looking champion so far this weekend and in recent memory for World Elite. And Spirit, he had a fine game on the rec side. Might look to take it back here.
I think it would have been a first pick Corki if it was available. Makes sense to see the rec side when, again, we've spoken about rec side Nidalee only for Dandy and to an extent also Spirit, so taking away the rec side makes a lot of sense. It does open up the Graves to be taken away by Vici if they want it. They're going to take the Janna. This is Marta we're talking about. Marta's Janna, legendary across the world scene. Don't think it's going to be the Fiddlesticks.
Well, we'll have to see. It's already seen a play today in the LPL, Papa Smithy.
It saw a play at Worlds too. Insect does love the Fiddlesticks. It has been an LPL standby, but it's not going to be today.
Not today, at least. At least not for now in this particular draft. And it seems like Vici will settle into some pretty comfort picks for them. It will indeed be Marta's Janna, and Hetong's going to take the Xerath back. I can't blame him.
Yeah, with Cassidy and Lissandra on the ban pool, Azir could be played for the skill matchup. Ninja hasn't found a lot of success on Azir, although he has shown some good performance on that champion. It's definitely been better performance on the Azir than it is the Xerath. We're still on 5.2, maybe for the last time, we have to say. It's been 3 weeks of 5.2 for us, at least in terms of calendar weeks so far. So, again, the Azir would make a lot of sense. Or maybe we'll see one of those crazy pocket picks come through for Ninja.
Maybe. I mean, Ninja does seem to have a pretty wide champion pool here. And World Elite are considering their last few picks here. Not too much time left. We're going to keep it pretty solid for them. Kind of flopping back and forth on support, but it is going to be Makai for a Luca in the top and Thresh once again for UJ in the bot.
You have to feel like the Annie support would have been a preview of perhaps a Sivir pickup. Sivir Annie's definitely been a really synergistic and popular combo. You could also argue Kalista Annie, but we've seen a lot more disengaged supports with Kalista recently than engaged supports. The balance pickup, the Thresh Maokai, it doesn't tip the hand of the cop whatsoever. They've got AoE, wave clear, and side wave pushing coming through from the jungle. They're very flexible with their first 3 spots. Vasily locking in Graves, you have to expect it coming.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks so strong on that champion when he hasn't had Corki, the other big mid-game aggressive champion he likes to play. He has gone to the Graves and looked very successful, so looks like Jarvan will get locked in. Dandy going to go actually for a much more standard jungler with the Nidalee ban over on the red side by themselves against Spirit, and it is the Graves once again.
But that's the thing, though. With Vasily coming up big on the Graves consistently, consistent performance out of their completed bot lane and their jungler, you can almost bank now when you see the Graves pick coming through. Their solo laners have sometimes failed to deceive, but in general have been quite solid and have shown some carry performances, have both Hetong and the happily named carry. So just having a completed bot lane and a jungle you can rely upon to consistently perform, and that's been the flavor when we see Vasily on these power AD carry picks. That's where Vici really looks reliable, and they're starting to grind out consistent results rather than the 1-1s or just the freak 0-2 losses.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Vici, as we've said, have gone from strength to strength. But World Elite going to complete a very interesting looking draft for themselves. It is Kalista there by SDYZ, but that is mid-Ezreal back for Ninja.
So, okay, first game against Invictus Gaming, poke comp. Nidalee jungle, Ezreal, Corki. You can see a lot of turret pushing, a lot of poke, a lot of synergy. In this situation, we've got double AD, a Maokai as a frontline, a pseudo frontliner in Rek'Sai, and the Thresh. This is not the same situation. This is not the same poke comp going there. This is a true double AD comp that can definitely be outscaled by the enemy if they pick a super tank. I feel like a champion like Dr. Mundo would just overtake this game and run away with it. You could, of course, combat damage and low base stats with damage yourself. So Rumble, this would at least confirm a very aggressive, all-around team fighting game. This Gnar, though, committing to a tank makes a lot more sense, because if this is a massive now, if we see the Thornmail achieved as a 3rd or 4th item, it feels like Vici should be able to outscale the World Elite comp.
Yeah, and a very balanced comp here for Vici there as well. And World Elite kind of going back to some of their old tendencies of picking more for comfort than anything else. If there's one thing we can say about World Elite that's been fairly consistent for them, it seems to be shallow champion pools affecting them a little bit.
We've been seeing identity coming through in those games, and it was the poke comp as well executed. It was a standard mid-game rotational Corki comp in the second game, but with the Corki banned away and the Nidalee not being available, I'm surprised to see them go for double AD, because they don't even have a fantastically strong siege comp. Kalista's not that good at picking up turrets, so they're kind of caught between a few identities. And as we see through the rundown, okay, the lanes in general are going to do fine. There's no really one-sided laning matchups. Perhaps Kalista versus Graves, not looking so good for Kalista. But in general, the team identities, it's very strong coming through from Vici. And it's a bit questionable for World Elite.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They do like to go back to comfort. I think it's probably not fair. I'll take it back to accuse them of shallow champion pools, but they do go back to comfort a lot, especially in situations where they're down 0-1. So they are going to go back here. SGYZ back on the hypercarry, Ninja back on his comfort Ezreal. Like, these are fine picks here for World Elite, but it doesn't seem cohesive, which is exactly what Vici's comp is.
Yeah, cohesion, that was the story of Vici all this weekend. That was the story of World Elite against Invictus Gaming. Even the comp picked in Game 1, if we hadn't seen that crazy snowball, if those solo kills had come through, cohesion was there for World Elite's comp that game. It's not really there this game, so I do worry for World Elite in this series, and they don't even have the AD carry matchup. They haven't managed to get him away from the Graves Corki. He does have the advantageous AD carry matchup, so in general, unless they can see a really successful lane swap and some great rotational play coming through and a quick game time, I fear for the Vici outscale.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, a couple of things that could make a difference for this team, but World Elite kind of struggling here, and Vici would love to, again, go 2-0, get the full 3 points. You know what? We'll see if they can. Let's get right onto the Rift. And welcome onto the Rift one last time for this weekend here in the LPL. Vici versus World Elite. Vici up a game currently after a stunning Game 1 that just snowballed completely out of control. And World Elite had a good weekend, but looking to struggle here in the last leg of a long schedule for them. Vici, we said it already. They kind of started as a bottom of the playoff team as far as contention goes, looking to leapfrog here into the top 5.
And the 86% fan favorites definitely showed and earned that result in the first game with their victory. In the second game, we've already talked about how much we like the Vici Gaming comp. World Elite, they're going to have to show us something different. They're going to have to really channel the Bizarro Saturday yesterday when all the underdogs came through and won at least one game, even won series in a lot of cases. But World Elite, there's a lot to work against, and there's a timer on this game. Double AD, no true magic damage. You have to think this game is on a timer. If Na gets to Thornmail after a few balanced tanky items, I don't see how you kill him.
Well, we'll have to see here, especially how the lanes fan out as we are breaking through some interesting wards. Looks like Vici have a couple there in the top side of the map, just scouting some entrances. Actually, a deep ward in their own jungle as well, so spotting potentially people moving through. And World Elite do have a ward in towards the bottom side of the lane. Ninja going to get aggressive very early on, and this is probably one of the best news. Ninja's on a comfort champion that has a very strong lane here.
With that early trade of damage, Hatong can't even go back. He's used a potion, so he's actually significantly behind in terms of laning items. Maokai, he's gotten some experience. He didn't want to commit fully to picking up the level 2 because he didn't spot the aggressive invade coming through. He's not expecting the lane, so he's expecting a 1v1, but in the result, with the saplings, he doesn't pick up any extra experience. It's just going to be standard 0 experience starts for both these top laners.
Yeah, both the junglers as well going to start on the opposite sides of the map this time around, although moving towards the same buff. So exact same start we saw in the last game as well. Good W there from Hatong. Just gets a bit of poke down, but Ninja, as expected on a comfort pick in this matchup, going to look to get ahead early.
And we've seen a lot of this matchup coming through in the LCK. It's been very standard, the Ezreal middle. We haven't seen so much of it coming out in China, so credit to Ninja, the Korean influence coming through, picking the Ezreal versus Xerath. In the early levels, you can see how strong Ezreal is in the short lane and mid. Of course, his Arcane Shift, the 475 range blink does really let him have a lot of safety. He can push aggressively, and in this case he can actually use his auto attacks, push in the wave, and his lack of wave clear, which of course will come into effect later in the game when Hatong's able to instant clear the wave with a couple of spells, is irrelevant. He's actually very, very strong in these early levels.
Yeah, looks like trouble in Paradise down towards the bottom side as well. This actually is what happened in the last game. UJ, I believe, landed a hook there just off screen and got some very strong damage onto Vasily. We've seen this constantly from UJ, at least on the Thresh. Has been a good playmaker, but Danny and Spirit actually Vici going to find each other. Spirit getting really aggressive there, going to fight the Jarvan and does win the duel.
And even though that was a Graves versus Kalista situation, where of course if Graves rotated first, he'd have so much more power at level 2, you could see World Elite were pushed up on the lane. They would have been first to react to the trade. So Dandy has to respect the 2v2 situation in bot and push forward, but we've got a duel coming through.
Marta getting grabbed there. Exhausto does go down. Vasily going to get jumped on as well. And another good trade there for World Elite. You have to be careful against Kalista. Those Rens add up quickly.
But a kill pressure is gone with the Ignite being used for a few minutes there. With heal still available, the Summoner heal could come out very big in a baiting situation. No heal reduction or that Ignite final tick coming through right now.
Yes, so some aggressive Summoner spells getting traded there by both sides here in the bottom side, but STYZ looking comfortable early on. And this is what we've said. He's looked fairly comfortable in the lanes early on against Vasily, but it's the later stages of the lane and the rotations that really put Waterloo under a lot of pressure.
And look, I won't really put a magnifying glass on STYZ's performance last game. If you remember, the lane started to get going for Vici when UJ didn't respect the burst coming through from a level 6 Vasily, but right now Vasily's not respecting the damage coming through.
Another good trade, but Dandy in with the gank there coming through. Very well timed. Will force UJ to use that flash and maybe make him think twice about getting aggressive again.
Yeah, both carries used Summoner heal. It was a very strong bait coming through from Vasily. A game of inches almost. He might have perished there. Does live. STYZ more healthy. Will be able to control this bottom wave and push it in if he so chooses. It's going to be difficult. Of course, not a lot of AoE pushing, so of course UJ is going to have to help him push this lane out. But World Elite, they win that early skirmish, hands up.
Yeah, I mean, that's good news for STYZ's Kalista, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Kalista plays in this comp here. I do like the ultimate for a bit of engaged potential. Thresh is one of the weaker supports to throw with the ulti, and you kind of just have to do what you can, because you mentioned this is a big mid-game comp here for World Elite.
In the top lane, actually, we do see a successful gang come through. That will be first blood. Spirit manages to navigate around with the tunnel, and they pick up the kill on carry.
Very well played. Lining up the CC there with the Maokai and carry. It's usually not that falls behind in a matchup, but Spirit, again, he shows that when he ganks very well.
His gank time can be excellent. It just was Dandy who was playing from in front in the previous series and counter ganking. Remember, it was great ganks coming through from Spirit, but the counter ganks from Dandy, always his flavor, always what he was well known for in Samsung White, paid dividends in the previous series. In this game, at least, Spirit, he's got his tail up. He's got the first blood.
Yeah, off to an early edge there. And we've talked about it between these two teams. The former Samsung junglers facing off now in China. And it's a big deal. They both have a lot of influence early on for their team, like so many good junglers do. But it really feels like if they're not leading the team specifically, they're leading the charge at least for both their teams.
And Dandy, look, he's on the Jarvan. He hasn't played the Prince Jarvan the 4th since previous weeks because he's been favoring the Rek'Sai in Italy. One banned away, one picked away. He has to go for a champion that, look, he'll still realistically build side zone. He's probably going to crib himself into more of a supportive playstyle. He won't be able to balance split pushing or just pure damage as if he was playing in Italy. Maybe that'll affect Vici's identity. We don't know for sure.
Be interesting to see if Dandy does get the Sightstone, actually. He does already have the Trailblazers for a bit of extra farming, but we've seen even Javans like Kakao not get the Sightstone anymore, as UJ does get a good hook on Samata, but nothing really left to connect there for STYZ.
Yeah, UJ just needs to respect the burst coming through from Vasily as the levels come through, particularly at level 6. That was the big issue for this lane. STYZ could never overcome the big burst in damage that came through from Vasily as he started to pick up 80 items very early, 11-minute Bloodthirster, you remember, in the previous series. But for now, very even among the bottom lanes. Of course, you'd say that suits Kalista.
It really does here, and thankfully for UJ in this particular matchup, no more Morgana to snipe him with the bindings. Mata, insane on that champion, but of course a fantastic Janna player, and one of the best in the world. So things are going to be fine. Vasily, not as aggressive as he might like, but both off to a good start here in the bottom lane.
And from the level 1s, already a massive CS advantage built for Ezreal, but this is where the laning matchup will start to tilt. Goes back, picks up a Fiendish Condex and a second Doran's Ring for lane control, though we just see a lot of fighting in the bot lane. Probably not going to be an engage with the hook missing. But look at Ezreal. Boots, Tia. Just those two purchases. 1,000 gold spent on no combat stats. A longsword picked up, but suddenly after being so ahead in this lane, controlling the space of the lane, with the AP picking up and the first blue buff donation, lane control for Ezreal is going to be so much harder just picking up this region, just stacking up towards the late game.
Yeah, so we'll see how that matchup does start to switch now. Ninja already having minions push into his turret, so he'll clear them out where he can, but like you mentioned, Xerath going to start getting a bit more ahead now. Ninja actually going to start roaming, it seems like here, maybe even trying to stop the donation or just get some wards down.
I mean, this has been the common thing from Ezreal players, whether it's been Deft on the AD carry role or the mid Ezreals, trying to scope out, steal the enemy blue buffs with either the Q or the R, whichever they go for. They'll always try for it just because it's on such a short cooldown, especially in the mid lane. You're trying to use that Q basically off cooldown to push back the minions, you might as well try for those big steals. It does have good burst damage, does the True Shot Barrage.
Yeah, just checking in some of the other lanes there as well. Nara, small lead there for Vici in the top side with Carry about 10 CS ahead. Jungle's fairly even with Spirit having a small lead, and we already talked about the Ezreal. And actually Kalista now as well. Kenny building a lead here about 15 CS as Ninja does look for the steal, but a little early on that one.
They always change, but Spirit's actually gone very aggressively in the top lane. Looks like Maokai won't be able to follow him. It won't be another kill.
A good bounce there for Carry. Gets out of trouble there with Spirit ulting up towards his lane, but that's going to give Spirit some free time in this side of the jungle. Not too many camps for him to take, but at least, again, trying to get vision and exert pressure. This is where Spirit is most comfortable, in the enemy jungle.
Both junglers are in the red side jungle for Vici Gaming. Ezreal's going to be the first to react. Dandy could be in trouble.
Good collapse here, actually. Spirit going to spot Dandy off. There's the knock-up coming through. Ninja going to try and find it. No ulti, unfortunately, and Otong does land a good stun. They're going to line up a nice Q onto Ninja as well, but Ninja will respond in kind by poking a Q over the edge of the Raptor camp.
The Q and a True Shot Barrage would have been enough, but just looking over, the True Shot Barrage was on cooldown. Not enough kill pressure onto Dandy to go really aggressive with any summoner spell usage.
So Ninja instead going to clean up minions out from under his turret. Otong, again, with the blue buff, really starting to get the poke going, and Ninja should get his blue buff in good time once it does come back up, but right now he's getting pushed in, just like you mentioned, Papa.
Exactly. That's just the reality of the matchup, is that one item, Doran Blade against Doran Ring, Ezreal runs around this lane. Of course, with all the chunking at level 1, it was to be expected. Etong had to play so far back because he only had one potion left for sustain. It was in a big hole to start the matchup. But this is, as we move to level 9, Morello Nomicon, especially in this large rod, it's going to be instant wave clear every what? 5, 6, 7 seconds versus instant wave clear once every 35, 40 seconds for the Ezreal.
And as we see STYZ actually going back here, a curious buy there, only just noticed. That's a quick pickaxe that he's picked up there.
He's actually got enough gold for a BF sword. Infinity Edge Callista was the first time we saw it in the LPL. It was Imp going the Infinity Edge Callista. It hasn't really been messed around upon, but with the pickaxe, I mean, what else could you buy? You're pretty much pigeonholed into building up that Infinity Edge. We'll
have to see it. The BF Sword, so like you mentioned, it must be the IE coming through, so a lot more early game power you have to feel like for STYZ. Not interested in having the 2-item spike with the Hurricane plus his lifesteal item. Just wants a bit more of a traditional AD carry power curve.
I'd actually go the other way and just say, again, the traditional power curve, the 1-item power curve has been nerfed in this patch, of course, only 20% crit coming through from Infinity Edge. I think he wants to kill the front line. I think he wants to be the one killing Dandy and Carry when they start stacking armor in the late game. So he's gone away from the Hurricane. How many times have we already talked about Hurricane builds struggling to kill one tank, let alone two? We've seen Jarvan stack 300 armor, ultimate onto a Kalista, and Kalista have no answer whatsoever, even with all their mobility. So go for that Infinity Edge, go for the obvious damage multipliers, attack speed and crit, and try and get the kill on the front line with the Kalista.
Yeah, we can see the Dragon actually already been started up there as well, I believe, although I think they pulled off there, so no Dragon forthcoming. Hilariously, Luca and Carry actually went at it there on the top side of the map, so didn't manage to kill each other, but was, I think, trying to feign the teleports. But in the end, the Dragon does not go over to any team yet.
Yeah, both flashing health bars. Flash had to be used by Carry in the top lane, so significantly, you would say a little bit of advantage coming through from Aluka. He holds on to his summoner spell.
Yeah, Will for now. Here's Ninja. Just continue pushing through. STYZ and UJ cleaning out their minion waves in the bottom lane as well. So things proceeding as normal. Only just the one kill there, and it was Waterlit's first blood after the gank by Spirit.
It's probably the first game when Vasily's played Graves and not been able to get a kill at level 7, not be able to get a kill at level 6, and really get in there with the buckshot, with the collateral damage, and pick up early fights.
You'll have to see there as actually Mata does get the kill into UJ in the bottom side, so good burst once again. That Graves ult just does so much damage.
Yeah, I tell a lie, speak too fast. This is the second game in a row where UJ has fallen down to the burst coming through from Vasily around level 6 and 7 with the buckshot on ultimate. That's really awkward for STYZ. For the second time as support, leaves him standing in lane.
Yeah, but he's going to last hit very well with his flat AD out from under these turrets, so does have a bit of room. STYZ again moving in, trying to go for a bit more of a hard carry build here on the Kalista, it seems. And we've got the Manamune done up for Ninja there as well, and Aluka going for the Righteous Glory.
I guess what I want to see is I kind of want to see a completely standard carry build coming out of STYZ, not the Hurricane second, not kind of pigeonhole yourself between an attack speed story that does give you that AoE Ren potential, but of course doesn't apply crit, doesn't really multiply your advantages. I want to see STYZ committed to killing Carry, to killing Dandy in the mid to late game, and to do that, you need the Phantom Dancer, or at minimum the Static Ship.
Be the hyper carry that I guess his team needs.
Absolutely. With Ezreal, he's going to have plenty of poke. It's probably going to be Trinity Force, Muramana, Bloodthirster, Ezreal. He's going to be poking around just fine, but they need to have the consistent damage coming through from the Ezreal.
We'll have to see as the Dragon does go over there to World Elite. Spirit will claim the first one for his team there with a smite. So good aggressive movement there coming through. World Elite doing a very good job there.
Absolutely. They pick up the Dragon. That's a nice little advantage for the double AD comp. You need every advantage you can get as double AD because, again, there's always that outscaling point. There's always that point where two people jump in your face, 300 armor each, and make your life hell.
We'll see those Ninja getting pressured in towards the mid side as well. Just again cleaning out Dominion. Has a very good CS score, actually. 25 CS ahead there of Hatong early on. And again, things going fine for World Elite. Navigated through the first Dragon. Do have the first kill. A very slow game so far, but 700 gold lead, not too shabby.
A slow game suits Vici, but right now the three-man dive would certainly not suit Vici at all.
Taking a lot of damage. Good Lantern out though. UJ on the right side there. Mata juking around the Lantern. No, now the ulti's going to come in. SDYC forced to use the heal. Starts using the passive off the Scuttlecrab, but Vasily going in there, gets flayed backwards, but UJ does have to get Fates called out of it.
That was a very late counter flash to get past the melee range buckshot. That saved SDYZ's life. Didn't even commit to using the collateral damage there, did Vasily. Very close engage. They tried for the turret dive. The counter gank was in. It's always in when Dandy's in the game. But no one dies.
And you can tell the reason for that as well. Bloodthirst has been completed by Vasily. Nice and early once again. So the same big, almost bruisery Graves build coming through.
It just gives you so many options. With the reduction of the one-item power of Infinity Edge, you don't feel pigeonholed in having to rush that on basically every AD carry. If you're not getting, for example, the Blade of the Ruined King, you're getting the Infinity Edge was the previous conventional logic. Now that you can pick up the Bloodthirster, get an early Berserker's Greaves, rotate around, take a bit of turret damage, take some poke from Ninja, but because you have that shield, still be healthy enough to DPS down those turrets.
UJ and SDYC, will back up a bit. Dandy looking around there as well. Does have his Warrior Enchant finish. No Sightstone yet, just boots one, but Spirit does have his Sightstone finish. So going for a bit more of a control look there with the Rek'Sai.
At the end of the day, Dandy needs to be a super tank. He needs to get the Randuins and another armor item to just be a dive buddy with carry. It's a waiting game. Does he need the Sightstone or not? If we look at the vision right now, it's looking good for Vici, so the Sightstone's probably not 100% necessary, but we might see a fight.
Yeah, Rek'Sai coming in. Vasily in trouble. Does get knocked up there. Ninja going to move through now. There's over too many members here of Vici. A good disengage all the way there by Mata. Vasily living for so long, but Ninja finally kills him. Maluka taking up Dandy, though, gets a double knock-up now. And there's the Cataclysm. Tong gets a kill onto UJ, but Ezreal gets a kill. Rek'Sai gets the next one. Carry going to go down as well. World Elite coming up big there. 4 for 1.
The true shot barrage was massive damage coming through in that fight. You're right. Vasily lived so long, but in living so long, he ended up baiting too many of his teams to engage, thinking that he'd lived through the fight. 3 extra members fall down. They're going to get an outer turret. I was talking about how a long game, you have to say it suits Vici that gets them closer to that 300, 400 armor point. But this is a big pickup in space, and the goal's going to start to begin as Hatong falls low.
Yeah, World Elite needed a mid-game push, and we'll see it again.
So we'll see the replay. Vasily has the Bloodthirst ability. He has 20% life still very, very early, and of course more with things. So he lasts so long, and it allows reinforcements to get into the fight, and the recommit comes through from his teammates. But this is the big issue. Watch the true shot barrage damage coming as people start to fall low. It does massive, outrageous damage coming through, and they clean up further kills, and they get a turret out of it. So massive engage for the double AD against what will eventually be a very tanky Vici.
SDYZ onto Mata does a lot of damage and hops his way out there with a Lantern there from UJ as well. And I think one of the other things we talked about, big tanks here for Vici needing to kind of soak all of the big AD damage coming through in the mid-game here. Carry died in mini-nuff form in that fight.
Well, he's committed 1337 gold into a Brutalizer, so he doesn't have a Randuin's. He could have a Randuin's already, but he committed to the laning power. He wanted to push Aluka around in lane. I don't really see the wisdom of that against double AD. Get your armor and get it fast. He could have had it, he didn't have it, and as you point out, he died.
And as we're looking at top lane builds here, I actually like what Aluka's done with his Righteous Glory. He's going for very cost-efficient, mid-game-centric, tanky items.
Well, they're doubling down the mid-game. There is no late-game hope. You build a Rod of Ages, you're just adding a timer to a game that's already on a timer, so it's irresponsible to go for a selfish build. Get the Righteous Glory, give your team movement speed options, and double down. They need the dragons. They need the turrets. They've got one, but they need to start growing a lead. If it's not 5,000 to 8,000 gold, by the time the next the third dragon they'll be hoping to put in their pockets by that point happens, World Elite are in trouble.
Yeah, and by the same token, I love the Trinity Force that Ninja's going to go for second. Pretty standard mid-lane Ezreal stuff that we'll see that we have seen from some carries in the LPL as well. And Infinity Edge also done there for SDYZ with his Berserker Grief. So things are looking good so far with a few thousand gold ahead for WE.
At minimum, I want to learn about full conventional carry Kalista coming through from this game. Look, he might still go for the Hurricane. That has been the more common build just to have the potential to get AoE spread. But I think he needs to be killing the front line. So I do want to see a more mid-game centric, or late-game centric actually, Phantom Dancer or Static Shiv.
Yeah, we'll see here. Looks like tower does go down to the top side. Carry will pick that up. Aluka could not get back in time to save it, but Ninja defending his turret valiantly here with the Ezreal and SDYZ chunking out the turret in the bottom lane.
The rotations have been very good. That's 2 out of turrets to 1. The next dragon, in terms of vision, they have 2 pinks in the area. They don't have a pink in the brush towards the enemy entrance. So that's one thing they don't have, but it's very hard to defend, so it's understandable. World Elite, they need to be the first to react, and Aluka doesn't have his teleport. If they don't get this because of Aluka's teleport, that's a huge strategic mistake.
Yeah, 10 seconds left for Luka, already starting to walk down, but Vici, a great rotation of their own here, going to knock down the mid turret, open up some space, and look towards their first dragon.
Counter rotations are basically advantages being built by Vici. If they're even in structures as they are right now, again, given the late game scaling, unless we're talking about 5 dragons coming through from World Elite, they'll struggle in the late game. So Vici, they'd really bring us back into this game. True Shot Barrage, so close to sniping away the blue.
Yeah, it doesn't quite get it. That does go over to Hotong, I believe. But Ninja has his Trinity Force up now. So you want to talk about a good time to contest for a dragon fight? This is a great time for World Elite.
That poke is going to be doing so much damage. Let's check out his mirror mana right now. 526 stacks, so still 5 minutes away from the full transformation, but we might see a fight coming in.
Yeah, Rek'Sai going in. UJ trying to throw it. Spirit wants to go in, but does get stunned. Actually tunnels his way out, though, mid-stun. That was a very weird look, but Spirit just going to dodge a few bolts. SDYZ takes a bit of poke. Actually, Dandy goes in an amazing flavor. UJ, though, and now SDYZ and Spirit going to try and cut around. The Gnar comes in. Ninja could be in trouble. Fate Skull gets popped as well. Mata pops everybody back in, though. Spirit does go down already. SDYZ going to get crushed by Dandy, and Vici just going off in this fight. There's the double coming in for the job, and actually a decent trade. No, never mind. Vasily comes up big, and it's 4-1 Vici.
The chunk to SDYZ was what won them that fight. Then the amazing Flash Monsoon coming from Mata, pushing Ezreal into the middle of all the AoE damage coming through from Vici. Masterful play from the master of Janna and Mata. And Vici, they pick up this dragon. All momentum for World Elite is gone. They need that momentum. That's what their comp's built around. And look, they're just kind of looking at it at the back of their window and waving towards it. This game is starting to already, and it's crazy to think at 6-6 with a 500 gold lead, I'm saying this, it's already looking difficult for World Elite.
It is, and this is almost the same story of game 1 here. World Elite, strong early game, we're getting things going, had good position, and then one good fight there from Vici, and everything turned around.
Absolutely, everything turned around. With the Zeal pickup, though, you can see SDYZ, he understands the position his team's needing to be in. He understands he needs to go for the conventional carry build. But again, the armor's just going to start stacking. Double Randuin's already completed here for the front line. It's already super difficult for them to skip past the Gnar Jarvan combo, the Narvan combo in the front line.
Yeah, Vasily actually could be in trouble. Knock up and the flavor. The hook actually missing. Vasily might be able to get out. Still a little too much damage. Spirit, though, actually life-stealing in. Ninja with a good snipe, though, does pick him up.
The ult from downtown. The magic damage his team needs. That True Shot Barrage comes through. Pads the scoreline. 4-1-2. Close to Mirror Mana transformation. Ezreal is massively strong. He's the strongest champion on the map right now, is Ninja. But he needs friends, and he needs a tanky front line coming through from Aluka. He's got that. Look at that. Frozen Heart already to complement the very early purchase of the Righteous Glory. It's just, again, these tanks are getting very strong on Vici.
Yeah, and the rest of Vici just look very strong and very confident as well. 2 items finished for Vasily. He's got his Static Shiv now after picking himself up a death in towards the top tower there. We've got a need to see leveled up for Hotong, so building in towards what's probably a quick death cap for maximum damage output there as well. And even Mata feeling confident going for a Magias.
I mean, after you pull off a sick play, why not spend the gold that you've rightfully earned on the Magias? A bit of selfish stats, but of course, it doubles and triple dips with her kit. Should do a little bit more magic damage, but again, the shield gets bigger. The AD donation to Graves, who scales oh so well with AD, becomes bigger. Even her selfish movement speed becomes bigger with how her W scales. So She gets a few more stacks. Janna doesn't die that often. It could be a very nice pickup.
Good lantern up though. Mata with a great tornado, and now they're going to try and kite away Mata. Does Monsoon away. The rain doesn't come through. A great shield there, and Dandy goes in for the knocker. Mata, no, does not quite live. And UJ now in trouble, but Aluka's up top as well. That's 2 for 1 so far. Vasily going to get blown up by the rest of World Elite. Make that 2 for 2. And now the 2v2 starts in the top side. Spirit doesn't quite get Nah. Dandy actually in a bit of trouble. So Luca very tanky right now. Her tongue rotating back. He's actually getting chased down by Spirit. Ninja gets in, sneaks in for a kill. Carry going to go down there as well. Luca gets another one. And now a 4 for 2 in favor of World Elite.
A big, much-needed win for World Elite. The big factor there that was caught in transition was her tongue. The artillery was never be able to be set. It was still being reorganized. It was still being deployed, but was assassinated effectively by Ninja. And was no factor in that fight. Died with his ultimate available, did her tongue. Messy fight, but that really adds to World Elite's team comp. They work best in those short, small skirmishes where the tanky frontline, where the armor doesn't count for as much if the teams are all unorganized.
No, and Ninja finally living up to his name there, sneaking the kill basically onto her tongue as he rotated through. We've got a BF sword now up for Ninja as well, so he's looking very strong in this game so far. You already said it, he's the strongest champion on the map currently. That is still true with that pickup, and at 5-1-3, he's going to have to put the carry pants on again.
Yeah, you can see he's the one that's committed to the poke build. He's working towards a Bloodthirster. He's going to be all about the range damage. The Mirror Mana has to be mere seconds away from transformation. I'll confirm that right now. 686 stacks, so still a couple of minutes away, but it'll be completed very soon. And then the Qs are going to be sticking even onto the highly armored targets. Carry, though, working on that second big armor item.
Yep, he's going to get there soon, and actually looks like maybe a Sunfire even coming through there for Carry. So we'll see what he does want to pick up as well. Kind of looking through the rest of the items as well. Vasily working on probably a last whisper there. Rabadon's almost through the Fertong, does have his components, and looks like a Randy one's possibly they're coming through for Spirit as well.
Absolutely. So the items are very, very even. In general, they're 3,000 gold ahead. This is where they need to be. They need to be playing from ahead. Again, the 5th Dragon buff, it doesn't negate the single damage type they're putting out. And of course, Ezreal is doing very nice magic damage, especially with the BF sword. That True Shot Barrage to the first few members is going to be doing massive damage. But of course, the true damage on autos, the doubling down and percentage stats you get through from the 5th Dragon buff, that's a huge thing if World Elite can pick it up. But it's looking far away when we're talking about 1-to-1 in Dragons.
And the next Dragon, the 3rd overall is coming back up now as well. So we'll see if World Elite can look to contest. They really wanted to shut Vici out of that objective in this game, but haven't managed to do so far. But have a good position right now. Dragon up in a minute 20. Both teams going to jockey for vision.
So similar are the item pickups from both teams. In terms of power spikes, 2 big 80 items coming out of both 80 carries, or the 1,000 gold in the pocket, going to be spent towards the pickaxe. The last whisper, as you mentioned, coming through from Vasily. Across the map, though, very similar power times. The Mirror Mana is completed. As we see the tank fight happening in top, everyone's waiting for that next minute, for that next big Dragon TP.
Yeah, Luca and Carry just sort of amusing themselves while the Dragon coming up. Carry actually losing this fight in Mega Gnar form, and now in Mini Gnar does have to run away from Aluka, so this Maokai also quite strong.
So that means that top lane's going to be pushing out for World Elite. That's important. It's another 6th man to be considered. Remember, Aluka's doing magic damage. Carry's got no sort of magic resist. He's actually quite squishy in terms of magic damage. He's got 51 magic resist only coming through from level scaling. And Aluka, it looks unlikely, but there could be a solo kill. Maybe not with the Mega Gnar Rage bar coming through.
Yeah, Mata also rotating in there as well, but not really afraid of Jonah as Aluka. And with that, his teleport going to go back now 22 seconds or so till the Dragon's back up. So smart of Aluka to push the lane in, rotate down. No, not back yet, but needs to be down soon if they do want to make sure they secure the Dragon.
But committing Marta to the top lane already negates any hope of having exclusive Dragon Vision. Of course, 2 members being removed from Dragon, specifically the support, the person who's already got the sweeping lens bought, the Oracle lens actually completed. They're going to be the last to react. They're giving away the Dragon. That's fine. It's only the 2nd Dragon. It's not a big deal. I mean, if they can estimate a timer, that's probably all they need to negate the 3rd Dragon potentially coming through from World Elite. But it's something for World Elite. It's something to build upon in their double AD comp.
Yeah, and the 2nd Dragon's great. They'll pick it up right then as Spirit does smite it away. But for me, it wasn't even just that Dragon. They set up very well for it. Got great vision, aggressive tunnels where they could. Tried to find a pick when they couldn't, cleared out the pink wards. World Elite starting to look a little more like they were yesterday.
I mean, their win conditions are very clear. Dragon control, neutral control, snowballing your early advantages of just having double AD. You do so much more turret damage than your enemy team just because, again, AD, it amplifies your spells, it amplifies your abilities, but your auto attacks do so much damage to turrets. So, of course, again, makes a lot of sense that you're able to take down those early turrets. They're 3-2 up. They'd want to be further ahead. 4 or 5 would be nice, but this is what they've got to show for their first 27 minutes.
Yeah, and we'll see what they can get done with it here in this particular game. STYZ back with his 2 items now. Static Shift clearing out the waves very efficiently, so not quite a hurricane, but not too bad either.
No, it's still very much a standard AD carry item build. Will it be 3rd item last? So you'd have to think so with the armor stacking coming through, but might actually realistically need Bloodthirster just for a bit of safety in the fights, because again, Kalista, low base stats can be exploded.
Yeah, I mean, they do have 2 AD carries. Sid Ninja, again, is very strong in this game. But Wild Elite look a little lost with the Dragon down. They fought well for it. They got the good vision, but haven't quite set up to really have the sort of a pitch battle under a tower and really get the poke going.
They have an insanely fast Baron, so of course that'd be lovely if they could sneak through a Baron, but it's not going to happen realistically against a strong vision team like Vici at 28 minutes. If you're not rushing it down at 20, you're not going to pick it up. So again, Baron vision is an objective for World Elite, but Dragon is the real thing they can easily get. The second thing is to get their side waves pushing and try and siege down a turret. Realistically, top turret, pushing Maokai in the bottom lane. Maokai's already winning trades against carries Gnar, so maybe that's something they can set up. But how risky is it to have your super tank, your full front line, be split away from the rest of the team? If teleport doesn't come through or is cancelled, Spirit, he's a bit tanky, but the rest of his members are very squishy.
Yeah, but at least Woodlit seem to be committing to the split push plan that you mentioned. So we've got a Luca in the bottom and Spirit there in towards the top side. Dandy will clear some monsters up. Marta will actually clear some vision out, or at least look for some there with his sweeping lens. And Spirit again checking, does have his ulti, so able to get around the map very easily if he needs to. But Woodlit still a little slow to apply the pressure. Maybe understand their leads not as big as they'd like it to be.
We just need to keep checking in on the armor purchases coming through. Second Ninja Tabi completed for Dandy. Already 10% of 80 damage. And of course, double scaling with armor is the Ninja Tabi. So good in this particular situation. We don't see a lot of Ninja Tabis anymore. It's usually, Mercury Treads, Sorcerer's Shoes, Berserker's Greaves, maybe some mobility boots for supports. Ninja Tabi's largely overlooked, it's the importance of tenacity. But, Ninja Tabi against double AD, so impressive. You can get that elixir of iron later in the game and have the tenacity anyway. But look, credit to World Elite. Good rotations, taking down another outer turret, growing a gold lead. It's still small, definitely in touching distance of Vici. The 3rd dragon, though, if they can pick up their 3rd dragon buff, that could be the start of important snowball for World Elite.
Yeah, Ninja's actually popped the blue elixir as well, so it is go time for World Elite as far as pushing is going. Even Rek'Sai going to come down, join the rest of his team. Good rotations overall for World Elite. Do have to be careful not to initiate a full-on 5v5 recklessly, but they can at least look to rotate around and keep applying pressure.
All summoners across 10 players available. If there is a fight, it's going to be slippery. There's so much mobility on Ninja to begin with. Of course, with Ezreal, the Arcane Shift on a very short cooldown, even though he hasn't committed to... actually, interesting to see that he hasn't committed to the Lucidity Boots. Actually, is the Berserker's Greaves going for standing damage despite having poke items. Sort of stands at odds for me, but again, maybe they just need that consistent damage now, early in the game, before the Thorn Mails are completed.
Yeah, and we're getting to that point as well. We talked about the front line there for Vici, those top 2 champions there, Gnar and Jarvan, getting very tanky here. Carry has finished his Sunfire Cape a few minutes ago. We've got the 2nd Chain Vest there as well. So you have to think for at least Carry, he's moving in towards that Thorn Mail.
296 armor already on Carry. I mean, Spirit's no slouch, 176 himself. Plenty of armor on Maokai, 241. But again, Hatong, he's doing a lot of magic damage. He's already got the Death Cap come through for a long time. Could buy another Needless Large Rod now if he wants to. He does. He's not working towards Void Staff just yet. That's a lot of damage that's not being negated by these armor purchases for World Elite.
No, and I can't blame Hatong at all for the second Needless Large Rod pickup, given that there's not even an Aegis, just the components for it seems like there for UJ. So he's not worried at all about the damage he's putting out, even just with the Sorcerer's Shoes, outputting plenty of magic damage.
The reason why I like it a lot in this situation is that he's the safe wave clear of his team. He's the one, of course, Buckshot can clear out waves, but you have to get very close, even melee range, if you want to instantly kill the melee minions. From 1,000 range, you can mow them down. AP, of course, flat AP will be the best statistic to take down waves. And of course, what happens if you're just smashing down minion waves? You're buying time, you're delaying the game. And then the Thorn Mails become so much closer.
Yeah, they do. And like you said, all Vici really need is time here. The game's been in a timer pretty much since the draft here in Game 2. And World Elite have a reasonable lead, about 4,000 gold, but they need to keep drawing it. And they're playing very deliberately around these dragons.
Yeah, but looking around Baron Vision now, Spirit, of course, importantly, Scuttle Crab Control even, has gone completely to Vici, at least the last time. That delays a big factor, the Baron. Of course, the Baron damage of STYZ and Ninja 280 carries coming onto this structure is massive. They have to respect it consistently.
Checking there as well. Actually a BF sword spare there for Graves. STYZ doesn't have that much gold he hasn't spent, so kind of interesting how that happened. But Vasily moving in there as well. Tornado almost hitting, but Luca popped the righteous glory, diving in, Dandy in the back, but STYZ just destroys him there. And the ulti does come through for Vasily, but Luca's very tanky along with Spirit. Now Hatong going in, trying to stop STYZ, does get the kill, but maybe carry, will get picked up there by Ninja. Gonna try and run away, does get healed there as well. Ninja diving in, really wants that. Spirit takes it, but Ninja looking to go down. UJ with a great play, but Vasily smokes Ninja to death there with the W, and UJ will go down now as well. Spirit doing a lot of work here. It's 3 for 3 so far, but Vasily has to be strong enough here. Aluka in the tongue. In fact, everyone might back off here. Aluka actually dodging to a minion, but gets slowed down. Stunned up in there as well. Aluka very tanky. Spirit going to join him, but Aluka is going to flash. Might get chased down. Hatong going to move in. Everybody getting away. A one long team fight, but a 3 for 3.
The multiple skirmishes and fronts that fight were fought on were very suited towards World Elite. Hatong really only got his ultimate and 1 Q in, and then was zoned completely by Aluka the rest of the fight. But of course, Aluka, the sole tank effectively. I mean, Spirit's tanky, but Aluka's a god tank in the front line was used completely on Hatong. So Vasily ran wild. There wasn't enough damage to finish him. However, World Elite, with this Void Rush, are the first to react to Dragon. We already see Vasily started. He's going to have to back away. World Elite, they should be in position to pick this up.
Yeah, looks like Ninja did use his ultimate there as well, just to check the pit. Dandy will throw a ward into the back of Baron as well, even Spotter for pink ward, but doesn't have time right now to try and clean it out, as he does need to move down towards the Dragon area. Water Leader on top of the objective, so if they want it, they can take it, and they're going to go for it.
It's hard to say how many more times in the game World Elite will be able to fight a fight like that, where the tanks aren't grouped, where the skirmishes are happening on multiple fronts, but a fight starting now.
Spirit does get it. Dandy moving in there, but he's getting very low. STYZ shredding him to pieces. Carry is very tanky to him, and STYZ has to dodge so much damage. Vasily going to dive into the back line, but he gets knocked back. STYZ gets the double carry, gets played back. That could be a triple coming through, but Ninja going to claim it instead in a beautiful team fight by World Elite.
Dandy's engages this game have been awful. The second time in a row, he's died instantly and just trying to dive onto STYZ, not respecting the fact that this is not a Hurricane Kalista. This is a Kalista with so many damage modifiers. 3-4 shotting the tanky Dandy. He's dying and his team just falls apart. Hatong is doing a lot of damage in the back line, but Vasily, he buckshotted forward just to try and get an assassination, an exit kill on STYZ, died and gave away Baron.
And unfortunately, Carry just can't emulate the same engaged potential that Dandy has, despite being super tanky on the Gnar right now. So World Elite will steal away the Baron. Ninja actually going in, a beautiful dodge of the stun. Ninja going to chase in on for Hatong. Doesn't quite go in. A Q just going wide. True Drop Barrage does hit in and takes the kill.
That is a crazy amount of damage for an AD Ezreal on that ultimate, doing about 40% of the health of Hatong. Massive exit kill. You have to respect Ninja so much. He is massive on this Ezreal, doing work. 7-2-8. Not the first time he's played it this season, but so effective this game. Vici, they can still win this game because of their composition, but they can't keep going for these dives. The Narvan combo that we were so respected, that we were talking about so much in weeks 1 to 3, just hasn't been happening. We've never seen the big 3-man stun come through as Dandy's going in and dying.
Yeah, and Carry's not been able to follow him, which is the big deal. Need to keep their front line stapled together and eject him into the front of the battle line together. But right now, Vici down 8,000 gold, almost, 8,000 gold actually, and counting now as World Elite continue taking objectives. So things looking bad. I mean, Vici do have a time here that they can look to play for, but it's a lot longer now after that lost fight.
Again, they might have to rely purely on wave clear, and they're against Baroned up minions, so even the massive wave clear coming through from Hatong, who's built his third big AP item with the completion of the Zhonya's, isn't going to be enough to one-shot these minion waves, at least while the Baron buff is running. So things are actually looking up for World Elite. I did not expect to be saying that, but look at this STYZ. That is a traditional AD carry build, and he has to be respected. It's going to be very difficult for Dandy to take him down. Usually the tanky Jarvans can stand on top of a Kalista, and she has so little options. She bounces around trying to use her attack speed-based rend attacks and just doing nothing. In this case, you make one small mistake and she bounces around, gets 4 autos, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing. You're not maybe, snowballing fights as well, getting the rend sets going, stacking up a lot of damage, but you're just a very mobile AD carry with a ton of items and a lot of damage output. So I feel like, there's something that's been a little unexplored for Kalista, but for STYZ, absolutely the right choice in this game.
And look, maybe people have pigeonholed Kalista too much into this utility build popularized by Sneaky. Still very effective, still can win games off their own bat, just like APE back in the day could win games based off their own bat, off a gimmick. There's no reason to say that standard Kalista might not be the way going forward, and at least this game, where you already have a poke AD carry from the mid lane in Ninja's Ezreal, go for the standard carry build. That's what I wanted to see, and it's working a treat.
Yeah, it really is here as World Leader pressuring this mid turret now. STYZ also adding good tower damage there as well. Able to hop between the turrets there. Baroned up Canyon Minion, lending a helping hand as well. And World Elite piling up the gold lead now. Even Spirit split pushing going to take a tier 2 by himself.
So many people that give no cares about turret hits on both teams, you have to say. Aluka, Spirit, Carry, and Dandy all able to shrug away turret damage. The turret dive potential is real. With this Baron buff especially, Danny's getting chunked out just by the AP coming through from Malka.
Yeah, I mean, even Aluka doing decent poking. He's insanely tanky right now. 4.5 tank items there, plus a distorted Ninja Turbo.
I mean, super tanks in the front line, but again, Hatong is in trouble.
Yeah, he is actually getting chunked out there by Ninja, who's rotated in. Does have the ulti. Good Qs coming in. Hatong actually gets chunked. He actually might be going for the fadeaway. Doesn't quite get it, as Hatong wasn't quite close enough to the fountain, but actually going to throw in UJ. That's a little too deep. Forcing the flash carry now. Going to get dived on by Aluka, but so much damage coming in. Jenny, a great three-man now there from Carry, but SDYZ hops out of the base gates, and Hatong will join him. Aluka, so tanky, just does not care at this point, although tanking a little too much damage. Vasily actually gets the kill.
But such a big engage came through. Finally, we saw the Gnar ultimate on multiple members, and fights look oh so different. Importantly for World Elite, they make the massive win because they break the base. They take the inhibitor. They're still completely on the front foot and looking good. They did translate their Baron buff into an inhibitor. That was the win condition for them. They've taken it, but that's the difference. Finally, we see Carry get the big Gnar ultimate. You have to realize the Gnar is a one-man tank initiator, which he's actually been because Dandy's, again, not been able to get the engages he's looking for, is unreliable. If you don't get that big Gnar ultimate on the transform, you just have so much lower effectiveness than when Gnar can get the 4-man Gnar ultimate.
Yeah, Vici, find the fight, but World Elite, like you said, do trade well, and Spirit going to look in now for this next dragon as well. 45 seconds away. That's the 4th dragon there for World Elite. And we've talked a lot about World Elite's win conditions and how they're playing to them. Having the 5th dragon, it's not essential, but it at least feels like a good insurance policy.
It's always away. Of course, the 5th dragon will be around 45, 46 minutes if it's taken exactly at spawn, this 4th dragon. You have to think the contest will come up from Vici. It's not 100% required. If they don't feel like they can win a 5v5, if they don't have the ward coverage, you can give away the 4th dragon. It's not it's not going to lose them the game, especially at 40 minutes. We're not talking about a snowball 4th dragon at 25 minutes. We're talking about a 4th dragon at 40 minutes with the base already broken. Maybe it'll be correct for them to give this away, but they need to double down on vision around Dragon and around Baron. Baron's up in 2 minutes. They cannot give away a second Baron.
No, and World Elite going to group up for this dragon. Take it easily. Vici, like you mentioned, Papa, not interested in the contest right now. And SDYZ going back for a QSS now as well. So fully stacked of these big AD carries on the World Elite side. Tanks for their front line pretty big there as well, and even UJ got some decent items. Does actually finish his locket after all this time, so things looking up for World Elite. Still comp could get outscaled dangerously here, but they've got such a big lead that this might just be enough room.
They definitely have a big enough lead to win in the late game with a double AD. The only thing that can answer them is the picture-perfect Narvan combo. If we see the Narvan combo come through with all the layering of damage from Hatong and Vasily, there's definitely a very real chance that even with the gold deficiency, the 10,000 gold deficiency, Vici can still win a fight.
And we saw that a bit in the last exchange there in the base as well, where that's effectively what happened. A good Gnar ultimate almost turned the fight around, but World Elite got what they wanted. So without a Baron buff, it's up in a minute here. World Elite going to look to tank the turret up, and Mata with some decent shields actually from that AP.
But the double Bloodthirster shields actually allow these AD carries to get cheeky, get a couple of hits in, despite the fact that they're in the front lines. There's just not that much engage, and Dandy's made a few mistakes with the last few engages, has to be on point with the next one.
Carry gets grabbed there as well, but he's actually almost Mega now. We're looking at a dive, but he's taking so much damage. Spirit going to go in. Carry going to dive in. A 3-man Gnar ultimate. SDYZ has already killed him. Dandy's diving in the back, but SDYZ still alive, hopping mad through the fight. Spirit going to move in there as well. Mata does disengage with an ulti, but no one from World Elite dead, and 2 kills already on Vici. Now Vasily going to get dived on. He True Drop Runs does insane damage there. SDYZ though gets blown up by Vasily, but Ninja will claim him instead, and this big tree is storming through the base.
You could see Dandy was so reticent to engage, missing 2 engages. Then this situation, Carry was so low before he looked to engage, before the rage bar was up. He didn't want to go for it, but he had to make a crying engage. The result, though, is World Elite, they win the game.
They do. They're going to split it here with Vici, and Vici will be so disappointed to not pick up the maximum points here. This is the brutality of best of 2. When you split a series, you just lose a point.
They were in touching distance of taking away the 3 points, of jumping to 4th spot above LGD and Invictus Gaming. But credit to World Elite. We questioned their champs there. We questioned the double AD. They didn't even have the insurance poke of Nidalee to give them a bit of AP. They had a true double AD, but SDYZ especially jumping towards a traditional carry build on Kalista opened up this victory. This would not have been possible with Hurricane Kalista. The tank line would have been just too strong coming out of Carry and Dandy. But people were being mowed down in the front line. Dandy was dying at the start of these engages. And Vici, they could never get the Narvan combo, barring one situation where they'd already given away their inhibitor.
No, and a great adaptation there from SDYZ in particular. Finally having kind of a hard carry performance along with Ninja. Great looking stuff there. But we do have a replay from that game, and we can see World Elite did some great stuff here.
They were really intricate fights, so I'm so excited to see a replay. This is from earlier in the game. So again, we'll roll the tape here. 14-11, they're pushing towards their 3rd dragon, this all-important 3rd dragon. Watch Dandy's engaging the back on SDYZ. He dies instantly. Look how quickly he dies in this fight. SDYZ's still healthy, still hopping around, and Vasily goes for the assassination on SDYZ. That's such curious position. He's been so on form on Graves previously. Dies randomly in the front line, and both tanks are dead. Hetong can do nothing. Vici, some of their engages this game left a lot to be desired when their communication and team play have been so on point all weekend.
Yeah, Vasily's aggression does cost him a little bit there, and we've seen it. He does like to get aggressive, and that was an instance where that aggression was duly punished by World Elite.
Yeah, Graves and Tristana, those are short-range champs that can jump in. They have the flexibility of going in, quick drawing in, rocket jumping in, and getting in burst damage. But you choose the wrong spot. You have that brain explosion one time. You lose a fight and you lose a game.
Yeah, and with that, we wrap a tumultuous weekend of the LPL. Week 6 has been insane with upsets and great games across the board. Don't forget, of course, if you need your League of Legends fix, you can join us here in the studio for the OPL tomorrow as well for your local Oceanic content. But instead, of course, if you want more LPL, it'll be back next Thursday as well. So for myself, Papa Smidley, Atlas Point, and our entire live production crew, we will see you sometime soon on the Rift.